Okay, so this is the second part of a deep dive analysis of my favorite film, Donnie Darko. This analysis is step by step, scene by scene analysis, and it does not only contain spoilers, but actually it's not for the layman. It's for those Darko obsessed people such as myself. We left it uh, when Rose was a bit baffled to see that one of her colleagues, one of the other mothers of Middlesex, was recommending her to meet Jim Cunningham, and that she was surprised that she couldn't believe he was still single. Well, maybe he's onto something else. Next scene, we see the part in which Donnie starts laying on the lazy boy, it's called um, chair, and starts to see the watery arrows out of his father. And we'll see what those are.
You guys want anything?
By the way, this week on a special Who's the Boss starring Tony Danza and Judith Light, Samantha borrows Tony's van and gets caught without a license.
Well, we gotta make sure we don't miss that one, huh?
Here we are again. Work down now.
Okay, so look at how, well, here rather, how the sound changes. It's like the volume has been hit up, and actually, this is quite surprising because Rich Kelly was the writer and the director, and originally, this should have been a light effect apart from a sound effect. Actually, in the script, it describes Donnie turns his head and sees the room is momentarily bathed in artificial white light, as if God hit the slow motion button during a flash of lightning. So you're supposed to see a light effect, like the lights opened. Also, Samantha, as she's walking past the TV in front of him, he's supposed to be singing something like "Follow the Yellow Brick Road" from The Wizard of Oz, and this is obviously like a bit of an Easter egg, saying like, "Do follow those those paths because those are the paths that you're supposed to that it's not up to you." So it's like God is letting you know that those paths are there, but it's not for you to question them or to um excluding you in that those exist, but you're not supposed to have the free will to do something else with this information. Okay, so let's continue and see where those steps lead Donnie when he follows his destiny. rather worrisome. This gun must be included in his future somehow. Okay, so now there's a little scene which I like, and it's just like that in the script, and gives you this feel in this film that I like so much. And he looks at the sky wondering. Okay, so next one is the second page from The Philosophy of Time Travel by Robert Sparrow. And on the background of the image, you see Gretchen asking Donnie if what's his mark, this mark on the on his neck, and he says, "I don't want to talk about it," and she's worried about him and says, "Oh, well, what's that?" That mark is the one that was done on the bathroom before, which in the film it's separated. I don't know why. So we see the second chapter of The Philosophy of Time Travel. It says water and metal are the key elements of time travel. Water is the barrier element for the construction of time portals, used as gateways between universes at the tangent vortex. Let's watch it.
Okay, let's not forget tomorrow we're meeting with our partners at the Young Inventors Fair.
What happened to your neck? The blood on your neck.
Talk about it. So, what are we gonna invent?
Next is the park scene. In the park scene, they are discussing the invention that they're gonna do for class, and we see then that Donnie takes the list. He cannot resist, and he goes for it because just so horny, and there's a reason why he's so horny, which I think I can advance right now. He is so horny because he needs to be kept motivated, and because he needs to fall in love with her to make sure the insurance trap works. Okay, so he goes for an awkward kiss, and
Reminds you of how beautiful the world
You know, we've been
can be.
going together for like 2 weeks.
Yeah?
Well,
You want to kiss me?
here we're gonna see the FAA agent. They're so worried that they're spying on them.
well, I'm
Donnie,
sorry.
wait.
I
I
like you a
just want
lot.
it to be at a time when it
When what?
reminds me just
Well, it reminds you how beautiful the world can be.
yeah. And right now there's some fat guy over there staring at us.
Next, another little scene that it's also excellent. It shows you the difference between character between the father and the mother of Donnie. They're both intelligent, but she's a bit more uh, cultivated and bourgeois, and he is a bit of a wild card and a bit of this rebelliousness that goes with Donnie's character.
I don't think telling any woman to forcibly insert an object up her anus is something that should go without consequence.
I think we should buy him a moped.
I think we should get a divorce.
Next is the pumpkin scene, which actually in the movie they're missing again something which is relevant because we see that on the movie Donnie starts saying something like, um, "Will you don't tell mom, but what? What information are you passing?" So on the script it says, "So I hear you have a girlfriend." Yeah. What's her name? You're not gonna tell mom, are you? Why will I tell mom? Because you tell him, you tell her everything. No, I don't, etc., etc., etc. And then he goes and tells Elizabeth, "Well, don't worry, I'm taking my medication." It's not that. I meant nothing of your teachers. I'll admit, when Dad told me that you said what you said to Miss Farmer, I laughed my ass off. I was just being honest. Yeah, well, that's not the way the world works. If you keep being too honest, the world will eventually find a way to destroy you. He changes the subject. Her name is Gretchen. That's a nice name. Okay, so you can see that she's a bit following on her mom's footsteps, and she's a bit more, let's say, normal, social, bourgeois, following social rules. Then Donnie shows her the scary pumpkin in the form of Frank. Okay, so let's go now to the scene where Dr. Thurman is sitting at her office with Donnie's parents this time.
Seeing us at such late notice. We've both felt that it was time for us to come in and discuss
what I think is going on with your son.
Yes. Well, he's you know about his past, and he was suspended from school for insulting his gym teacher.
Well, I'm not really sure that's a good example, Rose. I think he had just cause to insult her.
Rose, let me just lay out what I believe is happening here. Donnie's aggressive behavior, his increased detachment from reality, seemed to stem from his inability to cope with the forces in the world that he perceives to be threatening. Has he ever told you about his friend Frank?
Frank?
Yes, the giant bunny rabbit.
What?
I don't recall him ever having mentioned a rabbit.
Donnie is experiencing what is commonly called a daylight hallucination. This is a common occurrence among paranoid schizophrenics.
What can we do?
I would like to do more hypnotherapy and increase his medication.
Whatever will help him, really. That's why we're here. We just would like him to experience some relief. So, if you think that more medication will do that, then I think we should give it a try.
Okay, so there's a lot going on here. First of all, we got the suggestion by Dr. Thurman that this might be a hallucination, and therefore that he might be schizophrenic, paranoid, I think. But I don't think she believes that fully. I think she already suspects something weird's going on, and she is dying to do more hypnotherapy because the last time she tried, she couldn't get to analyze Frank. Donnie got all the horny, and he started touching himself almost, and she had to clap, and therefore she would like to do that hypnotherapy and point Donnie to Frank and start analyzing Frank and see what's going on there. That's why I think that she wants to continue the treatment and she wants to do that. Also, this is a scene which could lead some people to say, ah, I'm more clever than anyone else's, and you guys don't get it. The whole thing is an hallucination of Donnie. Nothing ever happens from the beginning of the film to the end when he laughs. Is just a glimpse in his head, and he's imagining everything. Fortunately, not. Not only because the director has said it clearly in some interviews that that's not the case, that this is not a mental um, um, issue movie, but it's a science fiction movie. But also because in the director's cut movie, that there's just too many things that are not that do not do not allow for that view. Uh, Also, we've got the point in which Donnie masters some of the powers he has, and he actually breaks the the portal in his mirror, and that's when you see that hand, and when you see that that water represents the portal. So he, with his knife, he actually manages to touch Frank, which is quite amazing because Frank is a manipulated death at this point. Well, in this representation, it's not a real Frank. So he's already in full control of that. He understands that. He doesn't know if he's dreaming it yet. He's fighting it off because that means that his destiny is tied to that gun. So, but he does nevertheless manage to do that, and that is also going on here. Next, we go to the video game scene.
It's complicated.
Yeah.
It's like a force, you know, in your brain. It just sends you someplace.
Would you go someplace familiar?
No, but actually each time I keep waking up farther and farther from my house.
It's scary.
Okay, so this is another one of those in which the film fails the script, and it is unfortunate because in there is some information, and we get distracted because we don't listen to the conversation that they're having, because there's a lot of noise, and because we see another page of the philosophy of time travel, in which basically it says that the manipulated living will assist the living receiver to fulfill his destiny, so that they avoid oblivion. But we should really, really go to the script and read it because, well, you've noticed there is a red car having an accident in the video game scene. So that is obvious because it's also replayed later. So that's easy to catch. But the video game scene in the script has the following uh, uh, phrases. It goes like that. So when you sleepwalk, can you remember afterwards? Like, do you dream? No, I just wake up and I look around, try to figure out where I am, how I got there. My dad said never wake a sleepwalker because they could drop dead. Then the car crashes, and Donnie explains it's like this big force that's in your brain, but sometimes it grows bigger and it spread down to your arms and legs and it just send you someplace. Breton says, so when you sleepwalk, do you go somewhere familiar? No, every time I wake up somewhere different. Sometimes my bike is laying there next to me, like once I woke up on the edge of this cliff up on Carpathian Ridge. Carpathian Ridge is the mountains that we've seen on at the beginning of the movie. And you never been there before? They sit silently for a moment. Donnie? Yeah? Do you ever feel as though there's always someone watching you? Why? Well, maybe someone is, like giving you these dream steroids and sleepwalking. Is someone showing you the way? So you can see that she's much more clued in not only what's happening to Donnie, um, but also in she's giving him theories, and she's very persuasive, and she is much close to him, and he shares with her what's going on with him, and something that then when they go to meet their final destinies, uh, that's the reason why she just follows him, because um, she's clued in, and she wants to know what's happening, how everything ends, and she basically is a believer by now. So because otherwise she would say, "Why are you? We're just in a party. I'm not gonna follow you now. Yeah, on a bike, do some crazy thing." I think that's what's going on here. Next scene, little two teachers scene, which is again a little gem.
Donnie Darko.
Next, we got the Jim Cunningham presentation and his speech in a very kind of almost televangelist kind of fashion, in which he condemns puritanically um, drugs, alcohol, and premarital sex. I don't know about drugs, alcohol. He already drinks, and premarital sex. Sure, Donnie would like to have some. Also, we noticed that the character is named Frank, and Donnie, most notably, says,
We're moving through time.
What?
so he's capable of manipulating time-space. He can rewind, and he can go through time. Um, let's look at the last speech of Donnie, which will get him suspended for 2 days. For 2 days. That's on the script.
Good morning.
Good morning.
How much are they paying you to be here?
Excuse me? What is your name, son?
Gerald.
Well, Gerald, I think you're afraid.
Are you telling us this stuff so we can buy your book? Because I gotta tell you, if you are, that was some of the worst advice I ever heard.
You see how sad this is?
I want your sister to lose weight, tell her to get off the couch, stop eating Twinkies, and maybe go out for field hockey. You know what? No one ever knows what they want to be when they grow up. You know, it takes a little while to find that out, right, Jim? And you. Yeah, you. You're sick of some jerk shoving your head down the toilet. Well, you know what? Maybe you should lift some weights or take a karate lesson, and the next time he tries to do it, you kick him in the balls.
Son, do you see this? Right? This is an anger prisoner, a textbook example.
Prisoner.
Do you see the fear, people? This boy is scared to death of the truth. Son, it breaks my heart to say this, but I believe you are a very troubled and confused young man. I believe you are searching for the answers in all the wrong places.
You're right, actually. I'm pretty troubled and I'm pretty confused, but I'm afraid, really afraid. Really afraid, but I think you're fucking Antichrist.
Okay, so he's like the guy that calls on the bullshit and rallies everybody to rebel against this narrow, basically against eating this bullshit, and people respond. He gets suspended for 2 days, and he is with Gretchen on the outside of Grandma Dad where they normally hang out.
It's amazing, you know? A man thinks he's telling the truth, and everything he says is just a fucking lie. Everything he says. Everyone thinks he's so rad. Such a fucking chud. Everything he does, they're just gonna...
Are you okay? Sit down. Calm down.
He's upset intellectually, like a young man would be, like an ideological young man would be, convinced of his ideas, is passionate, and she's more calm and tries to understand him on an emotional level. What's going on? Why is he so upset? And then Donnie shares with her not only his experiences, but his current up-to-date theory on where he is.
You ever heard of Grandma Death?
Who? Philosophy of time travel. What is this?
She wrote it. I've been seeing stuff. Like a lot of really messed up stuff. And there are chapters in that book that describe the stuff I've been seeing, and it can't just be a coincidence.
She gotta be in here somewhere. She never leaves this house.
Or maybe she's asleep. Donnie, look.
Send her a letter.
Okay, in our letters he shall send. So then we go to the explanation of the artifact and living which I'm going to read as always. When a tangent universe occurs, those living nearest to the vortex will find themselves at the epicenter of a dangerous new world. Artifacts provide the first sign that the tangent universe has occurred. That means that they do not cause it, but it's a sign. If an artifact occurs, the living will retrieve it with great interest and curiosity. Artifacts are formed from metal, such as an arrowhead from an ancient Mayan civilization or a metal sword from medieval Europe. The book class, it's basically it's telling the viewer what's happening, because otherwise just we'll be very confused. You'd have to watch the film a million times. Now we get to the conversation between Donnie and Dr. Monitov. Um, and we'll see what I think about why he says what he says.
Gravity. Like a spear.
I beg your pardon?
Like a spear that comes out of your chest.
Sure, yeah. And in order for the vessel to travel through time, it's got to find a porthole, or in this case, a wormhole, or...
Well, could these portals just appear anywhere, anytime?
I think that's highly unlikely. No, I think what you're talking about is, an act of God.
Well, if God controls time, then all time's pre-decided.
I'm not following you.
Like, every living thing follows along set path. And if you could see your path or channel, then you could see into the future, right? Like, that's a form of time travel.
Well, you're contradicting yourself, Donnie. If we were able to see our destinies manifest themselves visually, then we would be given a choice to betray our chosen destinies. And the mere fact that this choice exists would make all preformed destiny come to an end.
Not if you travel within God's channel.
I'm not going to be able to continue this conversation.
Why?
I could lose my job.
Okay.
Okay, so he's discussing with Monitov the theory of those arrows, which apparently in physics it is a thing, and he's discussing this. He's trying to figure out what those are, and if they really represent the destiny and the God-led destiny, let's say, and the teacher cannot continue, and he says that he could lose his job. Why? Why would he lose his job because discussing God and or the destiny? I think that a teacher in a religious school would have no problem with it. And this, I believe, it's because in an interview, the director, Richard Kelly, said that originally that was a public school, and that could make sense that in a public school in America you would not be allowed to have references to God, and that when they were doing the movie, because of they found a very lovely school, which it is indeed, and it's a Catholic school, I think, and because the person in charge of all the clothes, trying to find 80s clothes for all the students in a very tight budget, said to the director, listen, it would be a great help if it would be a religious uniformed school. So that is why I believe something that looks very cool and very nice on the film, but does not really make much sense. It is like that because originally the school was not religious, and therefore Monitov could have been in trouble for speaking about religion. Next is the what ship down scene.
It gives me no pleasure to deny you the right to read one of the great writers of the 20th century, but alas, I have not yet been elected Queen of the Universe, so I must obey the rules, and so will you. So, anyone seen in this school reading this book will be suspended, but not to worry. Someone has already pre-ordered a dozen copies at the Sarasota Mall bookstore. In Mr. Green's absence, we will now be reading another classic, Watership Down by Richard Adams. Here, Donnie. Sure to pass these back. Maybe you and Frank can read this one together.
So, Watership Down is a book in which there's a rabbit that is danger, and he's called to warn the other rabbits and therefore save them. So, it's talking about a savior, and that goes with the living receiver explanation. We see Donnie after reading the book reflecting and realizing that he is the living receiver of, in the terminology of the philosophy of time travel, which I'm gonna read as I always do. The living receiver is chosen to guide the artifact into position for the journey back to the primary universe. No one knows how or why the receiver will be chosen. The living receiver is often blessed with four-dimensional powers, time travel. This includes increased strength, telekinesis to rip off the engine from the plane, mind control, and the ability to conjure fire and water. It's fire, the flooding, and water, the burning of the house. So it's this. Okay. The living receiver is often tormented by terrifying dreams, visions, and auditory hallucinations during his time within the tangent universe. So we are at the point of the movie in which he understands that he is definitely the living receiver. He does not know how he can do the fulfilling. Later in the script, he says that Grandma Death is supposed to teach him, or he thinks he's supposed to teach him the way to do the portals and do the whole thing. But um, he's already aware that that's his job. Next, he found something.
Now you know where he lives.
Next comes the scene where Donnie shows Dr. Thurman the book of time travel and shows him the arrows that come out of people's chests and which is already telling you that they have a more closer relationship that you would have with your normal therapist. At some point, he, later, he will lie to her, saying that nothing, he didn't find anything in his parents' wardrobe, which is a lie. He found a gun, so he's not that close with her, but she's already very close to him and interested. And I actually think that it's worth to read the script at that point because it's better. So Dr. Thurman goes, and they grow out of your stomach. Donnie, it was just like described in the book. They were as if they were alive. The way they looked, moved, smelled. They were like workers assigned to each one of us. I followed my spirit. I found something. What did you find? Nothing. So he says, I found something. What did you find? Nothing. Right. So that's a difference between what we see in the movie. It's he slips, and he almost confesses what he has found. Then she goes, have you told Gretchen about the spears? Donnie, yeah, but if I told her about the other stuff about Frank, so he says, yeah, but if I told her about the other stuff about Frank, are you embarrassed by these things that you see? You know, every week when I come here, I tell you stuff, and it's embarrassing. Then he makes her confess something embarrassing of hers, and then say, I mean, Gretchen, she won't even let me kiss her. She says, because it's our first kiss, she's like waiting for this big moment or something. I just don't get it. I just want to get it over with so we can move to the good stuff. The good stuff, yeah, you know, fucking. Have you ever made love, Donald? Donnie looks at her, and we know the answer. That it's much better, I think. In the film, we know he's a virgin. Well, we don't know. We infer he is, but in the script he tells us, and much more directly. And that makes big difference because we see later why he says something to Gretchen or the rabbits that they want to have as much sex before they die, and when she realizes what's going on, and I think that at the end she almost offers herself to him in the party, but we'll see that later.
No.
Yeah. What if the parents like put in pictures of Satan, or like dead people, crap like that?
Is that what you'd show your kids?
Well, I mean, didn't your dad like stab your mom?
Get out.
Gretchen! 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 Sorry about those guys.
Okay, so he gets his first kiss, and he probably will get to the good stuff now. Next, but in the meantime, there's the bunny in the cinema scene, celebrated and for good reason.
Why you wear that stupid bunny suit?
you wearing that stupid man suit?
Take it off. What happened to your eye? Why they call you Frank? It is the name of my father. His father before me. Frank? When's this gonna stop? You should already know that. I want you to watch the movie screen. There's something I want to show you. Have you ever seen a portal? Burn it to the ground.
So, in the same way that we have two books which mean something in this movie, we have two films that mean something in the cinema. The first is the Evil Dead, which mirrors the Frank's possession of Donnie when he floods the school. The in this movie, basically there's a possession and some evil spirit possesses the characters. The other one is The Last Temptation of Christ, which is a movie that does not show a canonical Christ, but rather shows a Christ that struggles with his destiny. And that's exactly what Donnie goes through. He does not want to accept his destiny. He struggles his destiny. And also Donnie is a Christ figure. So excellent references. And when we get to what Frank and Donnie are saying to each other on cinema. Okay, so Donnie asks him to show himself. Frank shows his wound in his eye. Donnie asks him what's that wound, but he already knows because he has seen the gun. He's just struggling, accepting that he's the one that will have to shoot Frank. And it's struggling with that. That's fine. He asks, why is your name Frank? Apparently, he does not know or recognize the boyfriend of his sister. And Frank says that that's the name of my father and my father before me. Now, what I get from that is, first of all, there's some biblical reference that I'm missing here. Francis something must be related to some sort of sacrificial lamb figure that I'm missing here. But what I get from here, from that piece, is that Frank is an archetype within the Tangent Universe world. So when he says that's the name of my father before me, I get from this that probably there has been more Tangent universes uh, in the past, and a Frank or a Frank like figure, Frank like archetype, has played the role of the manipulated death, aiding the manipulated the living receiver to close that tangent universe. And I think that we also can know that because Roberta Sparrow, the Grandma Death, is probably a surviving living receiver from another tangent universe. Also, when Frank shows him the the portal in the movie screen, um, in the video, in the movie, it's showing like an eye and flames of the burning. I think that's I don't know why Richard Kelly likes these crappy effects. The movie is beautiful visually, but those kind of computerish effects are a bit sometimes. So in the script, actually, through the portal, he sees the Tudor, beautiful, extremely beautiful Tudor mansion of Jim Cunningham, and he knows what to burn. So next goes the burning of the house, mixed with the dance of Churita. And Churita dances while most people doesn't really care about her, much more uh, than in the movie. So in the script is described like most people just don't care. Some people are condescending, like Eddie. Some people are pitifully sympathetic, like Rose. Some people take the attitude of Elizabeth, which you can see is a bit of an embarrassment and a little bit of feeling for her. But generally, people don't really care about the performance of Churita, which is like very sophisticated and beautiful and with nice music, etc. And the only person that really appreciates and gives full-blown support is Miss Pomeroy, that applauds frantically, as is shown in the movie. So that's the difference between the script and the movie. And then let's see the little scene of Jim Cunningham encouraging the girls before their performance, the sparkle motion performance, because it's very telling.
Okay, now girls, I want you to concentrate. Failure is not an option. And Bethany, if you feel the need to vomit up there, just swallow it.
Okay, Mom.
Hey, you guys, good luck out there.
So we see Jim Cunningham is already involved in school activities, and he's getting familiar with the school environment, like any Jimmy Seville type. He when in the script he does touch Samantha on the shoulder smilingly, and she actually smiles nervously back to him. So it's already touching the kids. Not like this is normal not a normal thing to touch people in a friendly manner, but knowing what he has or used to have, because just Donnie just burned it at home, it's a different matter. Also, looks like we're gonna need an extra hour to finish this step by step, a scene by scene analysis and explanation of Donnie Darko, my favorite movie. And see you next time.